Hello and welcome to the Canvas SpeedGrader training. Today's objectives are for you to be able to access the SpeedGrader, to know how to grade assignments using the annotations tools and rubrics features available within the SpeedGrader, to be able to analyze student similarity scores using Turnitin, and then to look at the student perspective. So see how it looks for a student to be able to access their grades and feedback. We will be spending most of this training in the Canvas course space. So this is a Canvas training area. And the first thing to know is just a little bit about SpeedGrader. It is a tool within Canvas that makes it easy to evaluate individual student assignments and group assignments quickly. There are a few different ways you can access the SpeedGrader, so we will review those first. One of the ways to access the SpeedGrader is through an individual assignment, discussion, or quiz. So I'm going to go into Modules and select an assignment, and that will bring up a link to the SpeedGrader on the right side menu under Related Items. So that's one way to get there. We will follow the link in a moment. Another way to get there is through the gradebook. So if you navigate to Grades, locate the assignment or quiz that needs grading. And then there are 3 vertical dots for the item. If you select that, it will bring a drop down and a link to SpeedGrader. Also within the gradebook, if you want to jump right into an individual student's work for that assignment, you can select next to that student. There is an arrow, and then there will be a link to the SpeedGrader on the right side. So that's another way you can get there, through the gradebook. And then the last way to get into the SpeedGrader is through the to-do list. So I'm going to go back to the course homepage, and as an instructor, the to-do list populates when students have submitted something that's ready for grading. You can find that on your course homepage as well as on your dashboard. So over on the right side of the course homepage, there are a bunch of links to assignments that need grading, and all of those will bring you right into the SpeedGrader for that assignment if you select that. Okay? So for today's training, I'm going to go back into Modules and access that way to make sure that I show you the assignment that we want to look at today. So here's our assignment. This one is called SpeedGrader Practice Assignment, and we are going to select the link on the right side called SpeedGrader. That link takes us into the SpeedGrader view, and just to orient ourselves, what we're looking at right here is the assignment submission for one student, in this case, student 8. So we're going to start out by just seeing some basic navigational features of SpeedGrader. On the upper left side, there is a cog icon. If you select that, the settings, there's an options link. Selecting that, you have the ability to decide how you would like students to be sorted in the SpeedGrader. The default is by student name alphabetically, but you can also select the date they submitted the assignment or by submission status, such as need grading, not submitted, etc. So selecting those will change the way that students are sorted in the SpeedGrader. There is also an option to hide student names in the SpeedGrader. Right now I have this selected, and the student is listed as student 8. All of the students are anonymized. So if that's something you choose to do while you're grading, this options is how you will be able to do that. If I unselect that and save, then this student is named test student, and all of the other student names appear, and we can see those there. Okay. So that's the settings icon. Next to that, we have an eyeball icon, and this provides you the option to hide grades. We haven't graded anything yet, so this is grayed out. But if you, for example, would like to grade all of the assignments for all of the students within one assignment before posting it for the students to see, you can hide the grades right there and then release them when you're ready. So some instructors like to grade everything first and release it to the students at the same time. That's where you could do that with the eyeball icon. Right next to that, we have an icon that looks kind of like a notebook with a check mark. That is the gradebook icon. That will take you back into the regular Canvas gradebook. So if you ever feel like you're kind of stuck in this SpeedGrader view and you're not sure how to get back to Canvas, you can select that gradebook icon and it will take you back into Canvas. Moving over to the top right, we have the student names, and you can either select the student name or there's a drop-down arrow to the right of the student name. Selecting either of those will show you all of the student names in the course. A green check mark next to it indicates that the assignment has already been graded, while an orange dot indicates that there is a submission that needs grading. If there's nothing next to it, then the student has not submitted that assignment yet. You can also use the right and left arrows to navigate between students quickly. So selecting those will move you from student to see their submissions. Below that, we have a pencil icon. This allows users to mark submissions as late, missing, excused, or none. So if you would like to change the status of an assignment for a student, you can use that pencil icon to do that. Below that, we have a few other items. Word count can sometimes be there. And since in this case students were submitting a file, we can see that file there, and it also shows right in our window. Below that, we have the assessment section, and this is where you can enter a score. So if you've asked students to do an assignment, maybe that's for participation credit or for attendance, where you just need to quickly check that they've done it and move on to the next student, this assessment box is a good way to do that. You can input the grade and select enter, and then that will give that student a grade. And you can quickly move between the different students, give them a grade, and move on. So that's kind of one of the speed parts of the SpeedGrader, is just quickly going through, viewing the assignment, and leaving a grade. Okay. Now we will get into some of the more detailed options for grading and feedback that are available within the SpeedGrader. The first one of these is annotations. Let me refresh my screen. So Canvas gives a number of options for annotations. These are tools that are located on a toolbar that appears above the document. And there are a few different ways you can provide annotations to students. The first is called a point annotation. This tool drops a pin on an area within the submission and then provides a text box for comments. It also provides the opportunity to change the color of the pin at the top, which can be useful if your comments are color-coded. Maybe you have blue for questions, orange for confusing content, etc. So you can drop a pin and leave a comment next to that for the student. Next to the pin annotation, we have the highlight annotation tool. And this tool allows you to highlight an area and then provide feedback in a text box. So you can let them know why you highlighted that section or why you emphasized that section. Next to that, we have the free text annotation. This provides a text box in an area of the submission. So I'll type text box here. Again, you can change the color, you can change the size of the text. You can move this text box around. So that's an option if you want to leave notes directly on the document. There's a strikeout annotation feature. So it allows you to strike out areas within a submission and then add comments. letting students know why you think they should remove that piece. Then we have the free draw annotation tool, and this allows you to draw on a submission. So this is a nice tool if perhaps students are submitting a graph or a table or something where you want to be able to circle a specific component and leave feedback about that. You can do that with this tool. Free draw annotation, typing a comment to go with that. And then last but not least, we have the area annotation. And this is sort of a cleaner version of the free draw feature where you can put a box or a rectangle around a section and then leave comments to go with that. Okay, so those are all the various annotation tools that are available within the SpeedGrader if you want to give students feedback directly within the Canvas space. Next, we will review how to leave comments for our students. So Canvas provides multiple options for providing comments and feedback. We'll start by moving back over to the right panel in the SpeedGrader. And under assignment comments, there's a message icon. Mine has a number 6 by it because I've used this feature. Yours may not have a number there. But if you select that, this will take you into what is called the comment library, which is an area where you can create and save commonly used feedback. This is a really nice time-saving tool if you find that you're often typing the same feedback or comments to a lot of your students. So maybe students submitted a lab report and a lot of them forgot to add a figure legend. And so you want to just create a little comment about that in your comment library and save it so you can easily submit it. Or maybe they turned in a paper and you noticed a lot of students have incorrectly cited their sources and you want to show an example of a properly cited source. You can put that example in here and then instead of retyping it or copy and pasting it every time, you can just select that comment from the comment library and submit it to the student. Below that, we have just the general add a comment text box. This is where you can enter written feedback. So this is best used for general non-specific feedback. If you had very specific line level feedback, that works well with the annotations tool in the document. But if you want to give some overall feedback about the assignment, you can type that into that box and submit that feedback for the student to view. Below that, we have a paperclip icon. This is for a file attachment if you would like to attach a file for students to view as part of their feedback. Next to that, we have a play icon for a media comment. This allows you to provide recorded feedback. If you want to maybe make a video going over a student's assignment in more detail, this is how you would do that. You will be prompted to give Canvas access to your microphone and camera. Either of those can be disabled if you want to just use one or the other. And then the last option is a speaker icon for speech recognition. So Canvas does provide a speech to text option. If you select this icon, a pop-up will appear and then you can record your comment and Canvas will convert your spoken words into text for the student. Okay, so those are all of our comment options for students. Next, we will look at using a rubric within the SpeedGrader. So rubrics are optional to add to assignments, and you need to add them when you are creating the assignment. If you've added one, you will have a button appear in the SpeedGrader called View Rubric. If that's missing, then that assignment does not have a rubric. So I'm going to select View Rubric. And a lot of times the rubric, depending on the size, will sort of overfill the panel. You can select and drag that panel wider if you would like to have the whole rubric on the panel at one time. So in this rubric, you have a few different options for giving feedback here. you can add scores in on the farther right column, or you can also select the portions of the rubric that apply, and that will input the score for you. You can also leave comments on individual criteria or on the overall rubric. So if you want to leave a comment explaining just some more details about any of these sections, that's something that you have the option to do. Then make sure to select Save at the bottom. So this student received an 8 out of 10 using this rubric. Next, we will look at the Turnitin Similarity report, because this percentage does show in SpeedGrader if you have turned on Turnitin in your assignment settings. So kind of like with the rubric, this is something you need to set up when you're setting up the assignment. And if you've chosen to use that, that score will show here. Now, it is important to note that a similarity score does not necessarily indicate plagiarism. It is just telling you that there is similarity, and that is something that you as the instructor should probably look into further. So an example of where there might be a higher similarity but not any plagiarism happening is if the instructor provides the students with a template that has prompts, and so when students are submitting their work, all those prompts are in there, and those are flagging as the same across all students. But then you can just go in there and investigate and see that, okay, the prompts are all the same and being flagged, but the student responses are different. So that's one example of how that can work. If you want to investigate this further, you just select the similarity score, which is the percentage with the colored icon, and this will take you into the Turnitin assignment and give you more information. It will also tell you where that similarity was coming from. So in this case, we have 100% similarity because this is a test assignment that we've submitted in our Canvas course before. And so this says Washington State University System. If I want to omit that and not have that count against my similarity, then this changes the similarity score down to 4%. And this is because probably common Latin phrases, things like that, that are very common and hard for students to change. Names of species, places, if they're citing a legal case, things like that, those will flag, but it doesn't necessarily mean there's plagiarism. So Turnitin is a tool that you as the instructor have available to you to investigate further if plagiarism is occurring or not. Okay, so we have reviewed all of the annotation, commenting, and rubric features within the SpeedGrader. So now we are going to go out of the SpeedGrader to see what our feedback will look like to students. So I'm going to use the gradebook icon to get out of the SpeedGrader. And I'm going to go to my home page and select Student View. Now I will be navigating this course as if I were a student. So I will go into my gradebook, and let's find the assignment that we were just grading. SpeedGrader practice assignment as a blue dot for being newly graded. And the student can see their score here, 8 out of 10. They can also see a few other icons available. This one right here, it kind of looks like a clipboard with a checklist. If you select that, that shows the rubric and the score that students received on the rubric. Next to that, we have a discussion icon. This shows any of those big overview assignment comments. And then next to that, they have the originality report. This one is green because we dropped that similarity down to 4%. So students can select that and go in and see more information as well. You will notice that even though students can see their score and the rubric, they can't see all those great annotation comments that we made. So in order to do that, students need to select the assignment. And there is a small link there titled View Feedback. Once students select that, then this takes them into the view where they can see all the annotations that their instructor left for them and utilize that feedback. So if you have an assignment where you are leaving a lot of annotations and it's important that students view that either because it's a first draft and they need to make changes before their final, or it's feedback that you're providing early on because you want students to improve and use that feedback throughout the rest of the course, then it can be a good idea to let the students know that they need to go in and find that find that feedback, since it is one extra step for them to get in there and view that. Sometimes they need a little bit of training on how to find that. Okay. Thank you for watching our training on SpeedGrader today. We do have more resources on our AOI website, and if you would like to see the latest information about how to get support from our team, if you need more information or support with SpeedGrader, just go to our website to find the most recent information. Thanks for watching.